human.
Welcome to Game 3 between Mante and Anirudh6k in the Passiflora Championship, which occurred this past weekend. Of course, we are casting the games through VODs since there is no spectator client. And this is the round of 32. Scoia'tael versus Monster, 1-1 apiece. And definitely some nice plays coming out from Anirudh on these Gael's Monster. Still a little questionable. He's never really found amazing value out of his Gale's leader ability yet. And I do understand now why it's in the deck. It makes Gontro Dim more of a threat. It adds to Leshen's value and Corinther's potential value. So he has a lot that can synergize with it pretty effectively. But we haven't really seen it used in a way that has actually just put an opponent out yet. So I'm curious if it's capable of doing that, especially with control decks that are currently in favor, such as what Mante is running in the form of Scoia'tael, Ithni, a Singram deck. And you can see that Mante has a pretty nice hand to start with here. The Alzur's Thunder will remove the Hawker support, which is the #1 fear with running Hawker supports, is that it's too easy to remove. But Alzur's Thunder, bit of overkill, still worth the play, of course, to remove it there. As Hawker support did create a bit of a headache for Anirudh in one of the previous matches. And it looks like Mante, having no good plays out of hand with an empty board, is going to opt to drop Bork early. And usually I'd be against this play, but since it is a best of 3 and he's pretty familiar with what's coming out of Anirudh's deck, he knows that there's going to be a couple muster plays, such as these Wild Hunt Riders. Arrakis might come out in a moment. There aren't too many gold cards that he could just drop willy-nilly in the first round and feel great about it. So I think it might be an okay Bork play since he knows what he's up against. If he was uncertain about what he was up against, this would not be a fantastic play. But Marigold Tailstorm will stall a little bit, and we'll see if Mante recasts the Bork here. He did it previously in a game. I'm not sure if it's the best play typically. Gets pretty good Yavin value here, and Bork will threatening to remove everything from the board. There's almost nothing that Anirudh can do to stop the removal of everything from the board. But replaying Bork when you have a Glyce available could be a tough decision. Anirudh uses the decoy to pull Yavin back to his hand, and all Bork gets is the Wild Hunt Riders. But it does create a board state that's favorable for Mante XD, as he has 9 gold strength on board against a muster monster that's playing into weather with some difficulty this round. So we'll see what the response is going to be from Anirudh. Now, having played several games, he can expect the last 3 gold cards from Mante XD to be a Singram, a Glyce, and Ciri. And as such, he decides to play Woodland Spirit early on here. Mante has gotten lucky on a couple times, pulling the Tremors in a timely manner against Woodland Spirit. This time, instead, he finds the decoy. Decoy will pull the Elven Merc back to the hand. And Anirudh has an option to play Yavin into the Fog on his opponent's side of the board and remove the Elven Sniper, the Elven Delblantha Archer if he would like. But seems like he's going to work through his options and Last Wish first. Important for monster players to be able to get through a lot of their deck, and of course Anirudh's doing this in a pretty efficient manner since he does have the muster cards featured. However, he has not played Arrakis yet this turn, so the worry would be that if he finds too many Arrakis, he just has to send them to the grave, and he can't actually hold on to them any longer. But hopefully he's able to manage that before his turn 2 draws, otherwise he could find himself in a bit of a pickle. As we have Lacerate come out here. Take out the Rabid Wolves. So a bit of overkill, but nothing is really overkill against Gales because of the potential they represent. Ciri comes out from Anirudh. So another round 1 Ciri, which has been very common in this matchup in particular. Looks like Mante's toying with the idea of throwing a Glyce out. He could also Nature's Gift, which I think would be the Lacerate, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure if he missed an opportunity in Nature's Gift for a decoy earlier too. But it looks like he's going to try and set the Nature's Wish for... well, now he can't because he can only do it if he uses Commando next or if he uses Nature's Wish right away. He could do it. You could understand him wanting to wait for the backup decoy for Yavin to come back, and Yavin does come back. So now he has two options. He could decoy the Yavin, or he could use Ithni's ability to send Yavin back over. And there you go. He realizes that decoy is attached to Nature's Gift. So this will be the third decoy play that Mante XD gets to make in turn 1. And he's up 6-5 already. He can remove 4 off the board, plus 1. It'd be even on 16s if he makes this play. Instead, he could drop down Syria, win the round. He could play an Elven Merc and maybe win the rounds.
The storm is coming. Let's enjoy the
He
weather.
finds the Tremors, and I think that will be just enough. And it is. So, not opting to go for the crazy route and drop the Yavin and say, hey bro, let's go to 1-1. Instead, he wins the round efficiently, which is something we don't see Mante XD do all too often. Only down 1 card, and knowing that his opponent's holding onto a Siri, and may have issues with Arrakis if he draws into 2 of them here, or any other issues with any kind of muster cards that might be in Anirudh's deck that we haven't seen so far. But it looks like he did manage to only find 1 Arrakis, which is phenomenal. That's great news for Anirudh. So his hand is still going to be operating at its full potential. And even considering removing them from the board, it's never too bad to remove units from the board immediately against a monster player, especially when you're getting the bulk value, just to prevent, since he knows that he already used Bork, making sure that Gales will not get value off of those units is pretty important. And now it also poses the issue of Gales being used on the ranged row, assuming there's no weather there, would take strength away from Yavin. So it's a bit of a deterrent in and of itself. Mante has found ideal cards now, as Kieran makes his way into his hand alongside Siri. So he has at least 2 plays to extend the game. He can throw back Avalok at any moment, which is probably one of the more frustrating things when you're a monster player against Scoia'tael. Knowing that the entire value of your gold disloyal unit can be tossed back in your face by Ithni, it definitely can keep you up at night sometimes. Giant Toad will allow Anirudh to cycle through a bit of his deck, so he's playing pretty efficiently right now. He's seeing a lot of cards, 7-7. Mante likely to throw Siri down here, as it's no loss play really. But he could also consider sending back Avalok early. I'm not sure he has to do that yet, but it really shouldn't matter because Anirudh's going to be on the hook either way he plays it. A quick peek through the grave tells him that he has about 8 spells in the grave, and he has no Asingram in hand. So this Avalok is definitely going to get played by Ithni at some point. Avalok being one of the preferred disloyal units or spies out of all of them, probably. It's just upside. And especially for Scoia'tael, who can't really play out of their grave, you know, replaying an Avalok versus replaying a Burn of Bran, Avalok is all upside. Burn of Bran, you might have a tough decision there. Granted, if Asingram is one of the 4 or one of the 3, it's not really much of a decision at all. But Avalok, you don't have to make a choice. You just take.
Everything all right?
Elven Merc will come out, and she does find a White Frost. Wow. Talk about convenient, as it affects nothing on Mante XD's side of the board. Will put down Yavin's strength as well as the Wyvern, but brings out the 2 Foglets to offset it a bit. Stalford's Tremors comes out, as Anirudh seems to be running out of plays here.
All right.
Oh, the Tremors comes out again from Mante XD in a timely manner, and that's devastating because Gales could have gotten value on that ranged row, and perhaps he's questioning his decision to use Tremors last turn instead of keeping that ranged row healthy, knowing that Bork is in the grave and there is no Igni. That could be a devastating decision from Anirudh. He's seen enough of Mante's deck to know that there isn't any hard removal beyond Bork, and now he's down around, he's down 7 strength, at least, knowing that there's a flipped card, which is definitely Kieran. So he's down 13 strength in reality. He's going to have to play out most of his hand to try and salvage this. Here comes Corinther. He'll bring 12 strength to the board himself. So now if that flip card were to reveal, he's just down 1. But once again, Mante has enough removal to keep Anirudh in a tough spot where Gales as a leader is once again not representing value in the way you want a leader to. Going through a dim comes out, but Mante has an opportunity to replay an Elven Merc, and if he has one more removal in his deck, this could put the game to bed. But he doesn't. Mante XT, not keeping track of his spells in his deck, ends up replaying an Elven Merc into nothing, which isn't too bad of a play because it gets him the strength on the board still. And now he's down. He's only down 1 strength. If he,
nothing human.
He's going to send back the Avalok. But if he were to replay one of the commandos, I think he would have just won, right? Interesting. I think that might have been a bit of a misplay. We'll see if it proves consequential as we go into round 3. Not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure he could have gotten 2 strength if he replayed one of the commandos. Maybe Ithne can't replay those. I think she can, though. And we see a Griffin once again come out. So I'm surprised, with the side decks being in this tournament, knowing that you're against an Ithne, I'm surprised that Anirudh didn't tech the Griffins out of the matchup. Mante has gotten through his whole deck. You can see both players have gotten through their whole decks. And White Frost is the last card from Anirudh. He's sitting in an interesting spot because he knows that Mante is lacking removal, but Mante take a unit off of the range row, so not too much value coming out of Gales here. And since the whole deck is gone, Anirudh should know that a Singram is in Mante's hand, and times are about to get really tough for him as the Singram hits the board, and I believe he's going to pull about 10 units out of a hat.
None shall tread on us. Now we will see who is weak.
11. Wow. And that's it for the game. Mante XT takes it, and that was the last game of the series for the round of 32 between Mante XT and Anirudh. So Mante will move on, and we have another match coming up in a moment, so don't go anywhere. I'm HU3. Thanks for watching. This is the Passiflora Championship shoutcast from this past weekend by means of VOD. Stay right there as I prepare the next match for you.